they go. Assassinations, kidnappings, piracy, extortion.
The Philippines say they will behead him in 4 weeks.
It's before the first of 2 suicide bombings on Monday.
One of the most violent terrorist movements in the world, born in the 1990s, Abu Sayyaf.
Abu Sayyaf.
Of Abu Sayyaf.
Abu Sayyaf militants.
Twin bombings during a Sunday church service in Sulu province have killed at least 17 people.
Happened to 2 Canadians 7 years ago in the Philippines is as sickening as it is tragic.
15 soldiers reported killed in action.
The grisly discovery of a severed head in a plastic bag.
This was an act of cold-blooded murder, and responsibility rests squarely with the terrorist group.
These killers torture and behead their victims while claiming to act in the name of God.
John Ridsdale and Robert Hall were kidnapped and then killed. The businessmen were in the Philippines in September of 2015 when they were abducted by the militant group Abu Sayyaf.
Lord will, from Australia, being held captive by this group since December 5, 2011.
My government and your government pursue a common objective. We will bring Abu Sayyaf to justice.
My name is Robert Hall. I am told to tell you that on June the 13th at 3 p.m. I will be murdered if the demands are not met.
The Abu Sayyaf group has set another date to kill one of its hostages, unless ransom is paid before the deadline lapses.
It's the 26th of February 2004, 11 p.m. Super Ferry 14, a colossal vessel weighing just over 10,000 tons, sets sail from Manila. Its destination, Cagayan de Oro, with planned stops at Bacolod and Iloilo City. Unseen among the 900 passengers and crew, a deadly secret hides in the lower decks, a television set rigged with 3.6 kilograms of TNT. Just an hour after departure, as the ferry nears Corregidor Island, an explosion tears through the vessel. Around 1:30 a.m., Captain Seferino Manzo gives the order to abandon ship. Panic spreads as the fire engulfs the ferry. Survivors face a desperate situation: either jump into the dark, turbulent waters of Manila Bay, or compete for limited space in the few available rescue boats. By February 29th, the grim reality had become clear. 179 of the 900 recorded passengers and crew were killed in the attack. Initially thought to be an accident, the Super Ferry 14 disaster was later exposed as a calculated act of terror. Witnesses spoke of a gunpowder-scented explosion, directly contradicting earlier theories of a gas leak. The truth emerged starkly after months. It was an attack, planned and orchestrated by the jihadist militant pirate group Abu Sayyaf. The attack catapulted the group into global notoriety, starkly demonstrating their willingness to employ brutal violence in pursuit of their extremist agenda. Based in the Philippines, the group has evolved into a formidable force, intertwining wide-ranging criminal activity with ideological warfare. Their journey from a regional threat to a name synonymous with terror is a tale of violence, extremism, and the relentless pursuit of control. Abu Sayyaf began to emerge in the late 1980s, primarily based in the southern Philippines, with a strong presence in the areas around the island of Jolo in the Sulu Sea. Emerging from the political unrest of the region, the group was founded by Abdurrajak Janjalani. Advocating an ideology based on a radical interpretation of Islam, Janjalani sought to establish an independent Islamic state in the southern Philippines, especially in the Mindanao region. The group's early years were marked by a focus on religious indoctrination and military training. Drawing members from disaffected youth and local communities, Abu Sayyaf quickly established itself as a force to be reckoned with. The recruitment was fueled by both local grievances and the broader Islamic struggle, attracting fighters not only from the Philippines but also from other parts of Southeast Asia and beyond. As the 1990s progressed, the death of Abdurrajak Janjalani in a clash with Philippine forces marked a turning point for Abu Sayyaf. The leadership passed to his brother, Gaddafi Janjalani, under whose guidance the group's activities became increasingly violent and criminal in nature. The ideological underpinnings began to blur, with the pursuit of financial gains seemingly overshadowing the initial religious and political objectives. On April 23, 2000, a bold and shocking operation unfolded at the Sipadan Resort Island, off the coast of Borneo. Abu Sayyaf militants, armed with assault rifles and rocket-propelled grenades, stormed the resort. In a terrifying raid, they abducted 21 individuals from the dining hall during dinner. Among the hostages were a diverse mix of nationalities: Germans, French, South Africans, Finns, a Lebanese citizen, along with Malaysian and Filipino resort workers. An American couple and a local marine photographer narrowly escaped capture. The hostages were stripped of their valuables and forced to swim to a waiting boat. They were then transported over 200 miles of open water to Jolo Island in the southern Philippines, into the heart of Abu Sayyaf territory. Here, they were held captive by 200 bandits under the command of Galib Andong. In early May, a distressing video was released showing the hostages in a jungle setting, amid the sounds of gunfire and mortars. A German female captive was seen in critical condition, needing urgent medical attention. Abu Sayyaf demanded a staggering $2 million ransom for her release. The situation escalated when Abu Sayyaf militants opened fire on approaching government troops, resulting in the death of one soldier. They claimed that 2 hostages also died during the encounter, a claim that was later refuted by the government. By late August, the situation began to resolve. Following the payment of a $3 million ransom by the Malaysian government, the last of the Malaysian hostages were freed, along with a Filipino. In 2001, Abu Sayyaf struck again, kidnapping another 20 people from a resort. An ensuing battle with government forces led to 22 soldiers killed. The crisis escalated with multiple beheadings, including American Guillermo Sabero. The Burnhams, an American couple held for over a year, faced a tragic rescue attempt, which led to the death of Martin Burnham, while Gracia Burnham sustained injuries before ultimately being rescued. The Philippine government's response resulted in the arrest and conviction of over a dozen Abu Sayyaf members, aided by Gracia Burnham's testimony in 2004. Abu Sayyaf's operational backbone, kidnapping for ransom, has not only funded their activities but also cemented their notoriety. The group has amassed substantial amounts, with estimates suggesting total revenues from ransom payments of $25 million since the early 2000s. This income has been pivotal for their continued operations and acts of terror. In 2011, the group's strategy was highlighted by the kidnapping of Australian Warren Rodwell, leading to a $100,000 ransom for his release 2 years later. 2014 saw another high-profile case, with 2 Germans kidnapped, resulting in a $6 million ransom payment. In yet another episode, in September of 2015, the tranquility was shattered on the island of Samal, off the coast of Davao City in the region of Mindanao. A group of international businessmen, including Canadians Robert Hall and John Ridsdale, and Norwegian Kjartan Sekkingstad, fell into the hands of Abu Sayyaf.
We beseech the Canadian government to please help us, and the Philippine government, Canadian government and the Philippine government, to help us by stopping all of the operations that have been going on.
Tragically, the situation escalated in April 2016, when John Ridsdale was brutally beheaded following the missed ransom deadline. The group had demanded an exorbitant sum, exceeding $8 million for the release of Ridsdale and the other hostages. The intensity of the crisis grew following the release of a video.
My name is Kjartan. I'm a hostage at Sulu Island. I'm appealing to the Canadian government, Filipino government, friends, families, anybody who can possibly help us.
They had this all any time. It's like,
The message was clear and foreboding. Further delay in negotiations would result in more deaths. The video showed the remaining captives, under immense duress, reiterating the threat posed by their captors. As the deadline approached, a poignant video surfaced on May 15th, featuring Robert Hall. He revealed a grim ultimatum: unless a ransom of $16 million was paid, he and Kjartan Sekkingstad would face the same fate as Ridsdale. Dressed in orange coveralls, the 2 men underscored the gravity of their situation. Abu Sayyaf, having pledged allegiance to the Islamic State, followed through with their threat, and the world learned of Robert Hall's beheading after the deadline passed. In a turn of events, the nightmare finally neared its conclusion in September 2016, exactly a year following his kidnapping, when Kjartan Sekkingstad was released on Holo Island, after the payment of a $700,000 ransom.
During the almost a year in captivity,
I think there was 13 encounters from the ground forces and numerous from helicopters. I don't even know how many.
You have told us that it saved 1 bullet from the helicopter?
One went into my backpack full, and I was able to retrieve that bullet and keep it as a souvenir. So I like to extend a thank you to the chairman and all his people, the President Duterte, and everybody else that worked hard to make my release possible and for saving my life. I'm very grateful for being alive.
So we start with breaking news out of the southern Philippines. At least 15 people have been killed in 2 explosions.
2 bombs have exploded.
2 powerful explosions.
Twin bombing during a church service.
The first blast was inside the cathedral as worshippers celebrated Sunday Mass.
As soldiers responded, a second device was detonated in the car park.
At least 21 people have been killed and dozens injured at a Catholic cathedral in a predominantly Muslim area.
In the Mindanao region, it's been plagued by violence between Christians and Muslims for decades.
The government of the majority Catholic country has been fighting Islamic extremist groups for years. In 2017, ISIS-linked groups clashed with security forces and besieged the southern city of Marawi for 5 months.
On January 27, 2019, the Cathedral of Our Lady of Mount Carmel in Jolo was bustling with worshippers attending the first Mass of the day. The cathedral, a revered religious site in the predominantly Catholic Philippines, was a symbol of faith and community in the heart of Jolo, a region otherwise known for its turbulent history and ongoing security challenges. At 8:28 a.m., a bomb concealed within the cathedral tore through the congregation, instantly killing and injuring numerous attendees. The explosion caused significant structural damage to the church, with images from the scene showing shattered pews, broken glass, and a gaping hole in the ceiling. The attack was a two-stage operation, designed to cause maximum devastation. As emergency services and security personnel rushed to the scene, a second explosion occurred outside in the cathedral's parking area. This second bomb was strategically timed to target first responders and those fleeing the initial blast. The immediate aftermath of the bombings was a scene of carnage and despair. The church floor was strewn with debris and the injured. Outside, the second explosion had created additional chaos, with vehicles and surrounding structures also damaged. The death toll from the bombings was significant, with 20 people killed and over 100 injured. Forensic analysis of the blast sites provided insights into the nature of the bombs used. The explosives, 2 ammonium nitrate pipe bombs, indicated a level of sophistication and planning in the attack. The investigation revealed a tangled web of suspects and conflicting accounts. Key to the investigation was CCTV footage showing a suspect, Kamal Pei, a skilled bomb maker known for his connections to Abu Sayyaf. Pei, alongside other suspects, was seen near the cathedral prior to the explosions. This footage also led to the identification of a further 4 suspects. Despite initial suspicions, all 4 suspects were released, revealing potential misidentifications and security failures at the cathedral. In a subsequent development, the Philippine National Police Crime Laboratory's test results on recovered bone specimens indicated the possible involvement of an unidentified male and female, supporting the theory of suicide bombers. The Holo Cathedral bombings were a stark manifestation of the extremist threat posed by Abu Sayyaf. The attack, with its calculated brutality and targeting of innocent civilians, highlighted the group's extremism and their disregard for human life. In the years following the Holo Cathedral attack, the Philippine government, with the support of international allies, has intensified its counterterrorism efforts. These initiatives encompass direct military action, advanced intelligence operations, and strategic collaborations with neighboring countries. Despite robust combat operations in the Sulu archipelago and Mindanao, Abu Sayyaf's guerrilla tactics and intimate knowledge of local geography continue to provide them with a tactical advantage. This ongoing challenge underscores the complexity of countering a deeply entrenched and adaptable insurgent group like Abu Sayyaf. The United States has placed substantial bounties on key figures within the group. Notably, a bounty of $5 million was offered for information leading to the capture of Isnilon Hapalan, known for orchestrating kidnappings. Another significant bounty was placed on Radulan Saharon, with up to $1 million for information leading to his arrest. Saharon, known for his leadership role and involvement in various attacks, has remained elusive despite the hefty price on his head. The examination of Abu Sayyaf's operations reveals a stark reality of an evolving threat. Their maritime capabilities, enabling them to navigate the treacherous waters of the Sulu Sea, reflect a tactical versatility that extends their reach and influence. This, coupled with their connections to global terrorist networks like Jamaat Islamiyah and possibly Al-Qaeda, transforms what began as a local insurgency into a cog in the larger machinery of global terrorism. In the shadow of Abu Sayyaf's transformation from a regional militant group to a globally recognized terrorist entity, the enduring challenge of combating extremism is brought into sharp focus. The group's activities have far-reaching consequences, disrupting not just immediate communities but also regional stability and international security. Addressing this threat requires more than military might. It demands a coordinated response that intertwines robust security measures with socio-economic and diplomatic strategies. The story of Abu Sayyaf is not just a narrative of terror. It is a cautionary tale of the resilience of extremism and the comprehensive, sustained effort needed to counteract such deep-rooted threats.